Jax's revenge domain. I was the only union-certified electrical foreman qualified to handle the 75 kilovolt cooling system at Yamamoto Steel's $25 million bull mill. But when I requested a mandatory safety shutdown, Bradford Wells fired me on the spot, calling me an overpaid dinosaur, and replacing me with his college boy son who couldn't tell voltage from amperage. I didn't argue. I packed my tools, walked away, and started my radio log, counting down the hours until that cooling system would cook itself to death. My name's Hank Rodriguez. I'm 54 years old, and I've been keeping the lights on for 28 years since I learned electrical work on the GI Bill after Vietnam. There's a specific sound that 75,000 volts makes when it's flowing through cooling pumps the size of school buses. It's not a buzz. It's a deep hum that vibrates through your boots and into your chest. Civilians think it sounds like power. To me, it sounds like a ticking bomb. I was 40 feet up on the maintenance platform, checking the thermal readings on the primary cooling circuit. The morning air smelled like metal shavings and hydraulic fluid. My handheld meter showed red across all three phases. The system was running 80 degrees over normal operating temperature. "Tank, how's it looking up there?" Diesel Murphy's voice crackled through my radio. Diesel was my second in command, another Vietnam vet who'd been running maintenance crews for 22 years. "We've got a problem, Diesel," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "Coolant flow is down 40%. The heat exchangers are clogged, and these pumps are cooking themselves. We need an emergency shutdown to clean the system, or we're looking at a catastrophic failure." "Copy that, Tank." Bradford's not going to like hearing showdown with the quarterly inspection next week. Bradford can secure his perimeter or deal with equipment failure. I muttered into my radio. Physics doesn't negotiate deadlines. I spent the next hour documenting everything. Temperature readings, flow rates, vibration measurements. After 28 years of keeping industrial systems operational, I knew when equipment was screaming for help. This cooling system wasn't just struggling, it was in full mission abort mode. I climbed down from the platform and started logging my findings. Every measurement went into my field notebook, same way I document equipment failures in the service. You document everything because when things go sideways, documentation saves lives. A black BMW sedan tore into the plant parking lot, swerving around delivery trucks and maintenance vehicles. Bradford Wells stepped out wearing a suit that cost more than most guys here made in a month. He was 45, maybe 47, with the soft look of someone who'd never worked with his hands. His father had bought him this management position straight out of business school. Bradford marched toward me, pointing a manicured finger. "Rodriguez, why isn't the cooling system running at full capacity? Production is down 12% this morning." "Morning, Bradford," I said, wiping hydraulic fluid off my hands. "The cooling system is failing. We've got blocked heat exchangers and overheating pumps. I need authorization for an 8-hour shutdown to flush the system." Bradford stopped 3 feet from me, checking his watch like my safety report was interrupting something important. He was the kind of manager who thought industrial operations should run like spreadsheets, clean, predictable, and profitable. 8 hours? That's 200,019 lost production. "Rodriguez, the board is flying in Monday for the quarterly review. I need this place running at 100% capacity." I held up my thermal imaging camera, showing him the heat signature display. "Look at these readings, Bradford. Those pumps are running 80 degrees over spec. If we push full production without maintenance, the whole cooling system will shut down permanently." Bradford waved his hand like he was swatting a fly. "It's just hot weather, Rodriguez. Turn up the fans or add more coolant. Whatever you maintenance guys do," my jaw tightened, "add more coolant." We were talking about a closed-loop industrial cooling system, not a car radiator. "Bradford, this isn't a maintenance issue. It's equipment failure. Under union safety protocols and OSHA regulations, I can't authorize full production with the system in this condition. Union protocols?" Bradford's face turned red. "I don't pay you to follow union rules, Rodriguez. I pay you to keep the machines running. Are you going to fix this, or do we have a problem?" "Fix what, Bradford?" "The system needs maintenance. That means scheduled downtime." Bradford looked around the plant floor, making sure the crew was watching. He loved having an audience for his power plays. "You know what your problem is, Rodriguez? You're old school. You think because you've been here since the Stone Age, you can hold up production with your safety speeches. This isn't the military. This is business. Safety isn't negotiable," I said simply. "Equipment failure isn't optional. Maintenance guys are replaceable," Bradford shouted, loud enough for everyone to hear. I can hire 3 college graduates for what I pay you, and they won't give me lectures about following protocols. He turned toward the office and whistled. Preston, get out here. The office door opened and Preston Wells jogged out. Bradford's 24-year-old son, fresh out of engineering school with 0 industrial experience. Kid had been on site for exactly 3 weeks and still asked questions like whether AC current flows both directions. Yeah, Dad? Preston asked, looking confused. Bradford pointed at me. Then at the cooling system control panel. Rodriguez is leaving. You're taking over electrical maintenance. My blood went cold. Not for me, but for the plant. Bradford, you can't be serious. Preston isn't certified for industrial electrical work. This is a 75 kilovolt system. If he makes one wrong connection, he dies. He's got an engineering degree from state. He'll figure it out. Bradford scoffed. Preston, get the keys to the maintenance office from Mr. Rodriguez. Preston looked terrified. He stared at the massive humming cooling pumps, then at me. Dad, Tank usually handles all the high voltage stuff. I don't really know the startup sequence for the cooling system. You'll learn on the job. Bradford snapped. He turned back to me with a smug grin. You're fired, Rodriguez. Clean out your office and get off my property. I'm docking your final pay for the production delays you caused this morning. I looked at the keys in my hand. I looked at the failing cooling system humming its warning song. Then I looked at Bradford. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I'd given my professional assessment, and it had been rejected. Mission parameters were clear. Roger that, I said. I dropped the keys into Preston's shaking hand. Good luck, kid. I walked to Preston and lowered my voice. Listen to me, son. Don't touch the main breaker panels without backup. Keep your radio on channel 3. And if those pumps start making noise like grinding metal, hit the emergency shutdown and evacuate the floor. I walked to my office and started packing my personal gear, my multimeter, my testing equipment, my hand tools. Those were mine, earned with 28 years of keeping dangerous equipment operational. Where do you think you're going with company property? Bradford barked from the doorway. Read the union contract, Bradford. I said, snapping the latches on my tool case. Personal equipment stays personal. You get the headaches. I loaded my truck and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I saw Bradford patting Preston on the back, pointing up at the cooling system that was already running itself into the ground. I checked my watch. 9:15 a.m. With the heat building in those pumps and no maintenance scheduled, I gave it 2 weeks, maybe 3. I was wrong. It didn't even take that long. The drive home was quiet. Usually my mornings were filled with radio chatter from the plant, coordination calls with suppliers, and the mental checklist of a dozen different maintenance schedules. Now there was just the hum of my truck engine and the AM news station. I stopped at Murphy's Diner, a place where the coffee was strong and the eggs came with honest conversation. I needed time to process being unemployed at 54. My phone buzzed while I was stirring sugar into my coffee. It was Diesel. Tank, tell me Bradford didn't put Preston in charge of the cooling system. Diesel whispered. The background noise sounded like chaos, grinding machinery and shouting voices. He did. I confirmed. What's the situation? It's a disaster, Tank. Preston's walking around with a clipboard trying to look important, but he asked me if the cooling pumps run on single-phase or 3-phase power. We're operating blind here. Document everything. Diesel, I advised, keeping my voice low. Take photos. Send emails confirming all verbal orders. Cover yourself, because when that system fails, Bradford will throw everyone under the bus except himself. Already started. Boss. Military habits die hard. I hung up and stared at my coffee. Bradford wasn't just cutting corners on safety. He was gambling with $25 million of Yamamoto's equipment and the jobs of 200 workers just to avoid an 8-hour maintenance window. I felt a cold satisfaction. I had built that cooling system from the ground up. I knew its tolerances, its weak points, its failure modes. Bradford thought he had fired an employee, but he had actually removed the only person who understood how to keep his plant running. 2 weeks went by in silence. Usually when a senior electrical foreman becomes available, the phone rings constantly. There's a shortage of guys with my certifications and experience, but my phone sat quiet. I spent my days in my garage rebuilding the engine on my 1975 Harley. It was therapeutic work, mechanical problems with mechanical solutions. If a bearing was worn, you replaced it. You didn't tape it up and hope for the best. On the 3rd Tuesday, I decided to test the waters. I called an old contact at the Electrical Workers Union. A guy named Smokey Jones who'd been organizing industrial workers since the 1980s. Tank, Smokey said, his tone careful. I was wondering when you'd call. I'm looking for placement, Smokey. Got anything on the industrial maintenance board? There was a long pause. I can't place you right now, Tank. Word came down from management. Bradford Wells filed a complaint with the Regional Contractors Association. He's claiming you sabotaged equipment and walked off mid-critical operations. He's calling it gross negligence. My blood ran cold. Sabotage? I requested maintenance, Smokey. He fired me for following safety protocols. I believe you, Tank, but Bradford has lawyers and he's loud. Until this blows over, you're radioactive. Nobody wants to hire a foreman who's facing negligence charges. The line went dead. I stood in my garage, surrounded by tools and engine parts, feeling the walls close in. Bradford wasn't satisfied with firing me. He wanted to destroy my career so I couldn't fight back. It was a standard corporate tactic. Discredit the whistleblower, so no one would listen to safety complaints. Bradford forgot one thing. I had saved a life once, and that life had grown up to be a very good lawyer. I wiped the grease off my hands and reached for my phone. Time to call in a favor from 1992. Rico Martinez's office was in a converted warehouse downtown, serving working-class families who couldn't afford downtown law firms. The waiting room smelled like coffee and determination. I sat in my clean work shirt and steel-toed boots, looking at union posters and workers' rights information on the walls. The receptionist, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, looked up from her computer. Mr. Martinez will see you now, Mr. Rodriguez. He cleared his entire afternoon when he heard you were coming. I walked into Rico's office. It was small but organized, with law books, case files, and photos of successful settlements covering every surface. Rico Martinez stood up from behind his desk, arms wide open. He was wearing a clean white shirt and a union-made tie, but I could still see the build of the skinny construction worker I'd pulled out of a collapsed trench 32 years ago. Tank, Rico boomed, grabbing my hand in both of his. You look exactly the same, still ugly as a mud fence, and you still look like a lawyer who forgot where he came from. I smiled back. He laughed and poured 2 cups of coffee from a pot that had seen better days. To the trench, he said, raising his cup. To the trench, I replied. In 1992, a shoring wall had collapsed on a construction site. Rico, then a 22-year-old laborer, had been buried up to his chest in mud and debris. The fire department said it was too unstable to dig him out immediately. I didn't wait. I jumped into the hole with a shovel and dug him free while the walls groaned around us. I pulled him out 30 seconds before the secondary collapse filled the space completely. Rico had used his workers' compensation settlement to put himself through law school at night. He'd become the most feared labor attorney in 3 counties, specializing in workplace safety and wrongful termination. We sat down and Rico's expression shifted from old friend to predator. You didn't drive across town for the coffee, Tank. You look like a man who's been cornered. Who is it? Bradford Wells, I said. Rico let out a low whistle, the golden boy. I've been wanting to take a piece out of him for years. What did he do? I told him everything. The failing cooling system, the refused maintenance, the firing, the college boy replacement, and the career sabotage. Rico listened without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, Rico didn't look angry. He looked delighted. Tank, my friend, Rico said, tapping his pen on the desk. Bradford Wells just made the biggest mistake of his corporate career. He didn't just fire you. He defamed you in writing while committing gross negligence on a $25 million contract. We're not just getting your job back, we're taking his company apart. He walked to the window, looking out at the industrial district. But first, Rico said, turning back to me, we wait. We need him to hang himself completely. You said the cooling system is failing. How long until it goes down? System's running 80 degrees over spec, I said. Won't last another week under full production load. Good, Rico said coldly. Let it burn. Rico's strategy was simple. Aggressive silence. We filed nothing. We sent no letters. We let Bradford believe he had successfully destroyed me. In the corporate world, silence usually means defeat. Bradford, arrogant as he was, would interpret my lack of response as admission of guilt. Meanwhile, I kept tabs on the plant through Diesel. We met at a VFW post 2 towns over, sitting in the back corner like old soldiers planning reconnaissance. It's a nightmare, Tank. Diesel said, nursing a beer. He looked exhausted, with dark circles under his eyes and hands that shook slightly. Preston's running the maintenance crew 16 hours a day trying to keep up with production demands. No overtime pay. Just promises of bonuses when the quarterly review is finished. What about the cooling system? I asked. Cutting to the chase. It's screaming, Diesel said. You can hear it from the parking lot now. A loud, grinding noise that gets worse every day. The temp workers are scared of it. Preston told them it's normal operating noise for industrial equipment. I shook my head. It was cavitation in the coolant pumps. The impellers were disintegrating from overheating. It was a countdown timer to total system failure. I tried to tell Bradford. Diesel whispered. He told me if I mentioned the cooling system one more time, I could join you on the unemployment line. Diesel pulled a folded piece of paper from his jacket and slid it across the table. I shouldn't have this, but you taught me to document everything. I unfolded it. It was a photocopy of a work order signed by Bradford, authorizing the rental of massive portable chillers, backup units capable of cooling the entire plant. But the delivery date was scheduled for the day after the quarterly review. He knows, I realized. He knows the system is failing. He's trying to limp it through the board inspection, get his quarterly bonus approved, and then swap to rental equipment. He'll claim it was unforeseeable equipment failure. There's more, Diesel said. He fired the third-party safety inspectors, said we're doing internal assessments now. Preston is signing off on all the safety compliance sheets. My stomach turned. Preston signing electrical safety reports was like a recruit signing off on a minefield clearance. Get yourself and the crew away from that cooling system, Diesel, I warned. When they run the full production test for the board inspection, be somewhere else. Be in the bathroom, be in the parking lot. Just don't be near those pumps. 3 days later, the first warning shot fired. I was sitting in Rico's office reviewing the wrongful termination lawsuit we were preparing when my phone lit up with a text from Diesel. Lights just flickered. Huge bang from cooling system. Preston running around screaming. I showed the text to Rico. He didn't look up from his legal pad. Is the power out? Rico asked. Not yet, I said, reading the follow-up text. Emergency breakers held, but they just lost primary cooling. Every computer not on backup power is fried. Rico nodded. It's starting. Bradford is going to panic now. Back at the plant, chaos was unfolding. According to Diesel, the power surge had tripped the main ventilation system. The steel mill floor was filling with smoke and metal fumes. Mr. Yamamoto's inspection team was on site for the preliminary walkthrough, and the lights in the conference room had flickered and dimmed right in the middle of Bradford's presentation. Bradford, true to form, had lied. He told the inspectors it was a utility company power fluctuation, blaming the city's electrical grid instead of his own failing equipment. He sent Preston out to reset the cooling system breakers, a dangerous move on a system that had already failed once. Miraculously, when Preston threw the breaker back online, the pumps roared to life. The ventilation system kicked in. Bradford wiped sweat from his forehead and smiled at the Japanese executives. Just a minor glitch in the city power feed, he said. Our systems are robust and reliable. He was lying to the people writing his paychecks. He was lying to the people whose investment was at risk. But most importantly, he was lying to himself. That evening, I received a voicemail from a blocked number tank. It's Bradford. His voice was tight, stressed. Look, I know we left things on bad terms. I need you to come in for a consultation. Just a one-day thing. We have a minor calibration issue with the cooling system. I'll pay double your normal rate. I played the message for Rico. He sounds desperate, I said. He is. Rico agreed. Don't call him back. But the safety tank. Rico said sharply. If you go back now, you validate his negligence and you become liable again. If you touch that equipment and it fails tomorrow, he will blame you. He'll say he brought you in to fix it and you couldn't. Stay away. Let the rot show. I knew Rico was right legally, but it was hard to sit idle while my former crew walked through a minefield. I won't call him, I agreed. But if Diesel says it's critical, I'm telling him to evacuate. The end came on a Friday afternoon, exactly as I had calculated. Yamamoto Steel was conducting its quarterly production test, running every furnace and mill at maximum capacity to demonstrate plant efficiency to the board of directors. It was 1:30 p.m. The sun was high and hot. I was in my garage, changing the oil on my Harley, trying to keep my mind off the inevitable. My phone didn't ring. It didn't buzz. It simply lit up with a breaking news alert from the local station. Industrial accident at Yamamoto Steel, explosion reported. Emergency crews responding. My heart stopped. I dropped the oil filter and ran inside, turning on the television. The news helicopter footage showed the cooling system building. It was a smoking ruin. The main pumps had exploded through the roof, leaving twisted metal and debris scattered across the plant yard. The steel mill itself was dark, silent, dead. I grabbed my phone and dialed Diesel. It went straight to voicemail. I dialed again. Voicemail. Cold panic gripped my chest. My phone rang. It was Diesel. I'm alive, he coughed through the speaker. We're all alive, Tank. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Where were you? I listened to you, Diesel said, his voice shaking. When they started the full production test, I took the whole maintenance crew to the far warehouse for a safety briefing. Bradford was screaming at us on the radio to get back to work. Then boom, it felt like an earthquake. Anyone hurt? Preston, Diesel said grimly. He was in the cooling system control room when it blew. Flying debris. He's cut up pretty bad, but he's alive. Ambulance took him to the hospital. And the plant? Dead, Diesel said. Total power loss? The steel in the furnaces is cooling and hardening. They can't dump it because the tilt mechanisms are electric. The whole production line is finished. I closed my eyes. Millions of dollars in equipment destroyed. A $25 million contract up in smoke. All because Bradford didn't want to spend 8 hours on preventive maintenance. Bradford's in the parking lot throwing up. Diesel added, he looks like he's seen a ghost. Tell the crew to go home, I said quietly. It's over. Yeah, Diesel said, it's over. But I knew it wasn't. For Bradford Wells, the nightmare was just beginning. And for me, it was time to answer the phone. The smoke had barely cleared when the finger pointing began. My phone started ringing at 3 p.m. with unknown numbers, insurance investigators, safety inspectors, and finally, Bradford again. I let them all ring. Rico called me at 4 p.m. Don't answer anything, he commanded. Not yet. Right now, Bradford is trying to spin a narrative. He's telling the owners it was unforeseeable equipment failure, or a design flaw. He needs a scapegoat, or he needs a miracle. We are neither. By evening, the real disaster was becoming clear. Inside the massive steel furnaces, tons of molten metal were slowly hardening into solid blocks. Once that steel cooled completely, the furnaces would be destroyed. They would have to be torn apart with cutting torches, a process that would take months and cost millions. At 9 p.m., my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. It was Bradford. He looked destroyed, his shirt wrinkled, his tie gone, soot on his hands and face. He was holding a bottle of whiskey and a crumpled piece of paper. Tank, he slurred through the door. Open up. We need to talk. I didn't open the door. I spoke through the glass. Go home, Bradford. You're drunk. I can fix this, he yelled, pounding on the door frame. I just need you to sign these retroactive inspection reports. Just sign them. Say you checked the cooling system last week and everything was fine. I'll pay you $50,000 cash right now. I stepped back, disgusted. He wanted me to falsify safety records to cover his negligence. He wanted me to commit perjury to save his career. Get off my property, I said, or I'm calling the police. He stared at me through the glass, hatred and fear warring in his eyes. Then he spit on my porch and stumbled back to his BMW. I called Rico immediately. He tried to bribe you? Rico asked, wide awake despite the hour. Recorded by my doorbell camera, I said. Beautiful, Rico whispered. Absolutely beautiful. The next morning, Bradford tried a different approach. An email arrived at 7 a.m. with the subject line reinstatement offer. Urgent. It was a contract offering to rehire me at triple my previous rate with a $25,000 signing bonus. The condition, I had to lead the emergency recovery team starting immediately. Buried in the fine print was a non-disclosure agreement regarding all prior site conditions. He wanted me to fix his mess and legally prevent me from talking about why it happened. I forwarded it to Rico. Insulting, Rico replied by text. He thinks he can buy a $25 million liability shield for pocket change. Reject it. I wrote a one-line response. My safety assessment stands. I will not return under current management. By noon, the Yamamoto executives had arrived from Japan. Mr. Yamamoto's private jet had landed at the regional airport. The pressure on Bradford was now nuclear. Rico called me. Pack a clean shirt, Tank. We're going to get a call soon, but it won't be from Bradford. Who? Mr. Yamamoto, Rico said. He's been in the country for 6 hours now. His engineers have looked at the wreckage. They know Bradford is lying about equipment failure. They're looking for the guy who ran that plant for 8 years without a single major outage. That's you. Rico was right about the call, but wrong about the source. It was Bradford's lawyer who called Rico directly at 2 p.m. We are prepared to offer your client a settlement, the corporate lawyer said on speakerphone in Rico's office. Full reinstatement, back pay, and a $100,000 consulting fee to oversee repairs. In exchange, Mr. Rodriguez drops any wrongful termination claims and issues a joint statement supporting Mr. Wells's account of the accident. Rico laughed out loud. My client isn't interested in severance, and he certainly isn't interested in perjury. The plant is dark. The furnaces are destroyed. Your client is liable for roughly $30 million in damages, and you want Tank to issue a joint statement. It's a generous offer, the lawyer said tightly. Rodriguez is just a maintenance worker. He's not going to get a better deal. Tank isn't just a maintenance worker, Rico corrected sharply. He is the only union-certified electrical foreman in the region who knows that plant inside and out. Right now, he is the only person who can turn the lights back on safely. What do you want? The lawyer asked. We don't want anything from Bradford, Rico said. We are done negotiating with him. Tank will not work for Bradford Wells ever again. If Yamamoto wants their plant restored, they can talk to us directly. But Bradford is finished. Rico hung up the phone. That was risky, I said. What if they bring in a crew from out of state? They can't, Rico said. I checked. The nearest union electrical crew with industrial steel mill experience is in Pittsburgh. They're 5 days out and don't know the plant systems. Yamamoto loses $500,000 every day the plant is down. They don't have 5 days. At 3 p.m., Rico's assistant buzzed in. Mr. Martinez, a Mr. Yamamoto is on line 1. Not a lawyer. Mr. Yamamoto himself. Rico looked at me. Showtime. Let me do the talking. He pressed the speaker button. This is Rico Martinez. Mr. Martinez. A calm, heavily accented voice filled the room. I'm reviewing a forensic engineering report. My investigators tell me that safety protocols were bypassed and maintenance was refused. They also tell me the cooling system showed clear signs of failure for weeks. That matches my client's assessment, Rico said smoothly. Your client is Hank Rodriguez. Yamamoto continued. My engineers tell me he designed and installed the original cooling system 8 years ago. They say it was flawless work. Tank takes pride in his installations, Rico said. Why is he not on site? Yamamoto asked. It wasn't really a question. It was an accusation, because he was fired for attempting to prevent the very failure that destroyed your plant, Rico said. He was replaced by an unqualified college graduate to save money. There was a long silence on the other end. I see. I'm currently meeting with Mr. Wells. He claims Mr. Rodriguez sabotaged the equipment before leaving. I clenched my fists, but Rico put a calming hand on my arm. Mr. Yamamoto, Rico said, Tank has the rejected maintenance request he submitted. He has time-stamped thermal readings from the morning he was fired, and we have witnesses willing to testify that Bradford bypassed safety systems to avoid production delays. I do not care about lawsuits right now, Yamamoto said, his voice turning ice cold. I care about my plant. I need power restored. Can Mr. Rodriguez do this? Rico looked at me. I nodded. I can bypass the destroyed cooling system and bring up the auxiliary chillers, I said, speaking directly to Yamamoto. But I need complete authority. No Bradford, no interference, no corporate management. Mr. Martinez, Yamamoto said, please bring Mr. Rodriguez to the plant immediately for an emergency meeting. The conference room was crowded. Mr. Yamamoto sat at the head of the table, flanked by 2 serious-looking Japanese engineers. Bradford sat on the right side, looking like a man who hadn't slept in 3 days. His suit was wrinkled, his face pale and sweaty. When I walked in, Bradford stood up. This is ridiculous. You're bringing in the saboteur who caused this mess. Sit down, Mr. Wells, Yamamoto said quietly. The command had the weight of a falling anvil. Bradford sat, Mr. Rodriguez, Yamamoto said, looking at me with dark, intelligent eyes. My engineers say the cooling system failed due to blocked heat exchangers. Do you agree? Yes, sir, I said. I identified the blockage 3 weeks ago. I recommended an 8-hour maintenance shutdown to clear the system. I was denied and terminated. Liar, Bradford shouted. He never submitted a formal maintenance request. Rico slid a document across the table to Yamamoto. Here is a copy of the maintenance request Tank submitted on the morning of his termination. It's marked denied and signed by your plant foreman. Yamamoto picked up the paper. He read it, then looked at Bradford. Mr. Wells, did you see this request? Bradford stammered. It was a busy morning. I might have overlooked it. But that doesn't excuse him abandoning his post. He didn't abandon anything, Rico interjected. You fired him. And then you replaced him with your son, who is currently in the hospital. Here's the situation, Rico said, addressing Yamamoto directly. Tank can have auxiliary cooling running in 12 hours. He knows where the backup systems are located. But Tank doesn't work for Bradford anymore. I'll rehire him, Bradford offered quickly. I'll pay him quadruple rate. No, I said. My voice was quiet, but it cut through the room like a blade. I won't work for you, Bradford, not for any amount. You don't respect safety, and you don't respect workers. I turned to Yamamoto. I will work for you directly, sir, if you terminate Bradford's management contract and hire Rodriguez Industrial Services as the electrical contractor. Rico pulled his ace card, the billing fraud evidence. When Yamamoto saw that Bradford had been charging for certified specialists while using uncertified workers, his face turned to stone. Mr. Wells, Yamamoto said, please leave my property. You are no longer welcome here. As security escorted Bradford out, he looked at me with pure shock. The overpaid dinosaur had just taken everything he had. Mr. Rodriguez, Yamamoto said, how soon can you restore power? 112 hours, I said, if I can bring Diesel, Murphy, and my maintenance crew back. You are the plant manager now. I spent the next 14 hours bringing that plant back to life, working alongside Diesel and the crew who had trusted my judgment from the beginning. When the auxiliary cooling system roared to life and the lights came back on, it felt like coming home. 6 months later, I'm not climbing electrical poles anymore. My knees can't take it. I'm running Rodriguez Industrial Services, the premier electrical maintenance company in 3 counties. Diesel is my operations manager. Preston Wells, believe it or not, is my newest apprentice. After he got out of the hospital, he came to me and apologized. He wanted to learn the trade the right way. I learned something in those months of unemployment and vindication. I spent 28 years thinking that if I just kept my head down and did my job well, the corporate world would treat me fairly. I was wrong. The world is full of Bradford's people who see safety as an expense and expertise as overhead. Here's what I learned, and what I want every working man to remember. Document everything. Safety is not negotiable, and know your worth. Bradford called me an overpaid dinosaur. He found out the hard way that you pay for expertise once, or you pay for failure forever. Don't let anyone discount your skills. Stand your ground, keep your records, and never let them touch the high-voltage equipment unless they know what they're doing. The lights are still on at Yamamoto Steel, and they're going to stay that way. I used to think experience was just about knowing how to fix things. Now I know it's about knowing what breaks first, and having the courage to say no when safety isn't negotiable. The corporate world will always try to replace wisdom with cheaper alternatives. But when the lights go out, they'll come crawling back to the guy who actually knows where the switches are.